Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is Paul, the Canadian Snowman, and we're doing How Was England Formed? I know about England. I've actually done like a few different videos on different types of things in England. I've done a couple on the Queen. I've done like the difference between like the United Kingdom and England and that kind of thing. What else? I did one of those ancestor DNA tests, and I believe it came back. It's on this channel. Uh, it was like 60% English, and then there's a percentage of Scottish and Wales and all that, and German stuff like that, which I thought was really cool. So it was definitely cool to see what my actual background was because I didn't know beforehand. So that was really cool. What else about England? I'll be rooting for Tommy Fury next month in his boxing match. I actually seen, I actually watched the Love Island season he was in it. So, anyways, I know, right? But anyways, let's check this out and how was England formed? I guess I kind of I seen I did a series on the War of the Roses on here. I done a series on that, which is really cool and interesting, which is basically like where Game of Thrones kind of got, their kind of thing going because the names are very similar and all that stuff. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's check out how was England formed. And quick video. Dun, 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 3, 2, 1. And before you, please hit that like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But anyways.
The existence of England is one that is often taken for granted and looked at far too scarcely. This may be due to the overshadowing history of the development of Great Britain and the United Kingdom. But nonetheless, in order for these unions to be formed, England had to already exist, and it actually has since 927 AD. So how was England created? Who claimed the land before the English, and how did it become the nation that we know today?
I think, and that's the Vikings, right? But the Vikings were there before, right? And Rome was there. They had man, what's that wall called? I got a blank. But yeah, Rome was there. And the Brits. I guess what were the people called? The people there just called the Brits. The people there when Rome took it over. I don't know. Anyways.
As the Roman Empire began to fade from the British Isles, the area of modern-day England started to see a wave of migration from Anglo-Saxon Germanic tribes. According to some historians, after the Romans left,
I think that was me. Like that's like my background, my DNA. So it's basically like Anglo-Saxon, pretty much, right? I think that was kind of what my background was. I'm sorry, I keep pausing.
Germanic tribes. According to some historians, after the Romans left, the native Britons came under attack from the nearby Picts and Scots, and subsequently,
this is Mountain Dew.
Dun, dun, dun.
A rush of
welcomed some of these Anglo-Saxons in hopes that they would push out the other invaders. The Germanic peoples were successful in expelling both the Scots and Picts, but they then turned on the native Britons and established their own authority by the start of the 7th century. The new Anglo-Saxon rulers then installed the kingdoms of Essex, Kent, Sussex, Mercia, East Anglia, Northumbria, and Wessex on the British mainland. There are minimal records of what happened over the next few centuries throughout these kingdoms.
Well, yeah, like I said, this was like when I did the Viking series on here and everything, and from the TV show Vikings, obviously, Wessex and Mercia, all these names came from that TV show, and obviously were real places. I always find it super interesting. Plus, like the Vikings had the same names and stuff. So this is kind of taking me back through previous series I've done, which is really cool. But anyways, awesome.
There are minimal records of what happened over the next few centuries throughout these kingdoms, but we do know that it wouldn't be long before the Anglo-Saxons would face invaders of their own. In 793, a Viking army landed at the Lindisfarne Monastery and raided the sacred building. Their violence and disrespect stunned the Anglo-Saxons, who were unprepared for what these Vikings had in store. By the end of 870, East Anglia fell to the Danish invaders, and Mercia was lost only 4 years later. As the Vikings seized Northumbria next in 875, Wessex was the only remaining major kingdom under Anglo-Saxon authority. When the current king of Wessex, Ethelred, died, his younger brother Alfred was left to protect his kingdom's independence. At first, he did so by paying off the Viking aggressors, until he was eventually prepared to lead an army against them. This culminated in the Battle of Edington, which left the Danes utterly routed and ended their attempts to capture Wessex. A power vacuum in Mercia around the same time resulted in King Alfred also gaining control of the kingdom, and instead of establishing a new monarch, he placed an alderman in charge. This nobleman would answer to King Alfred himself and kept the King of Wessex as the ultimate authority throughout both regions, although a part of Mercia would be ceded to the Vikings. After the death of the King of Wessex and the contemporary leader of Mercia in 911, Edward the Elder and Ethelfled each became their respective successors. Together, these new rulers began to increase the pressure that had already been put on the neighboring Danelaw. In 917, Ethelfled expanded her lands to the north, and Edward was able to incorporate all of East Anglia into his kingdom. As Ethelfled pushed forward with the expansion, she managed to extend Mercian territory all the way up to York, where the locals decided it would be best to simply pledge loyalty to her as opposed to fighting. Although Ethelfled shortly died, her daughter, Elfwin, was supposed to take her place and continue on the current course. Unexpectedly, though, the Mercian people quickly ousted their new leader and accidentally created the perfect opportunity for King Edward from Wessex to seize all of Mercia not long after. In 918, the Anglo-Saxons continued farther into Danelaw territory and slowly gained more and more land for themselves. By the time of Edward's death in 924, the newly acquired neighbors of the Anglo-Saxons had all pledged allegiance to the king. This put the Anglo-Saxons in a confident position as Edward's son, Aethelstan, took over the kingdom. Around this time, Etheltan's sister would marry the local Viking ruler Sitrick, who still controlled Northumbria. Aethelstan marched on and was finally able to bring the kingdom of York under his crown as his sister's husband passed away. This left Northumbria up for grabs, and the king swiftly consolidated it as part of his kingdom. This is generally the time that most historians view the Kingdom of England as having been created. But the situation was not exactly so simple. Ethelstan was...
Yeah, because like I said, a lot of that was familiar from previous series I've done. So I was kind of looking forward to kind of like what solidified it, kind of all as England, I guess, right here to kind of answer the question, what do people consider, when did it get, that whole piece get considered England kind of thing? And like, I guess, yeah, anyways, I don't know where I was going with that, but anyways.
Created. But the situation was not exactly so simple. Ethelstan was not done trying to expand his kingdom however he could, and although he did term himself the King of the English at this point, it was still not quite what we know as England today. Ethelstan decided to give an invasion of Scotland a chance to see if he could reach his authority even further. The Kingdom of Scotland, or as it was known at the time, Alba, was at a disadvantage against the English, and therefore appealed to the other remaining sovereign states for assistance. This prompted...
Yeah, because there's so many movies where you have, like, you know, Scottish versus the English. Like, oh, which is the movie from, the movie from the 90s with the Scottish, what's that dude's name? William Wallace. That's it, William Wallace. Yeah, what's that movie called? I forget, but you guys know exactly what movie I'm talking about. Awesome movie where you have the Scottish versus the English and all that stuff. But anyways, yeah. We got Wales over here and, you know, Ireland.
An alliance between Constantine II, King of Alba, Olaf Guthrum, King of Dublin, and Owain, King of Strathclyde. With King Olaf at the helm, the alliance faced the English at the spectacular Battle of Brunanburh. Though it is unknown exactly where this battle took place, it is certain that the alliance was severely crushed by the English invaders. The casualties on both sides was disastrously high, but Aethelstan and the English were without a doubt the victors. It's believed by many that this clash may have truly solidified the unity of England and stirred up a new sense of nationalism and pride amongst the English people. Nonetheless, it didn't result in the incorporation of Alba nor Strathclyde into the Kingdom of England, as both stayed independent. England, on the other hand, would have to prove its ability to do so. The Vikings, though temporarily defeated, would return to the young kingdom at the end of the 10th century. After Aethelstan's death in 939, the previously defeated King of Dublin, who was a Viking ruler, took immediate advantage of England's temporary instability. While King Aethelstan's brother Edmund took over the English realm, King Olaf swooped in to reconquer some of the lands that had once been in Viking hands. York was quickly captured, and a large chunk of what used to be Northumbria and Mercia was also taken, as he strong-armed the English into accepting this annexation. Ironically, when Olaf died in 941 and his cousin, who shared the same name, was transitioning to the throne as his successor, Edmund of England jumped on the chance to pay the Vikings back for the invasion. The following year, the middle chunk of annexed land was retaken by the English, and in only 2 more years, the Vikings were entirely pushed out of Northumbria. This essentially reunited England, since the territory was now all under Edmund's control. As ambitious as his ancestors, Edmund next invaded Strathclyde, but only took some of its southern territories by the end of the incursion. The rest was given to King Malcolm I of Scotland, as opposed to joining England. It once again appeared as though the Kingdom of England had established some stability.
People with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension. But no, by all means.
But this...
I was trying the whole time, trying to like picture in my head how the yellow area got split up. I'm like, okay, so this is it. This is Scotland. This is England. And I was trying to picture in my head the actual like map and which side was which. But okay, good deal. It filled me in, obviously, right?
Was as though the Kingdom of England had established some stability, but this was once more short-lived. Edmund was mysteriously murdered in 946, which left his younger brother, Edred, as King of England. The next year, Eric Bloodaxe from Norway attacked and seized the recently reincorporated Northumbria, which prompted almost a decade of conflicts over who, throughout the Isles, would lead Northumbria. Eventually, the English king was able to once again and permanently reclaim the territory on behalf of England. His death soon ended his reign after this victory, and his young nephew Edwig temporarily succeeded him, but was quickly deposed in favor of his brother Edgar. However, this was only a partial deposition, which meant that Edwig would still hold a small section of the kingdom as a co-ruler. When Edwig died only 2 years after this decision, Edgar simply took over the whole of England. Under the reign of King Edgar, known as Edgar the Peaceful, the true foundations of the English kingdom could finally be established. Many reforms were passed, and a vast number of the systems and laws that had existed in the Danelaw were actually upheld in hopes of avoiding any displeasure from the Danish portion of the population. Peace, unity, and order were the pillars of Edgar's nearly 2-decade-long reign, and his work helps to fully solidify the unity of the young Kingdom of England.
Cool.
The ultimate foundation of England was a long and shaky process. From the initial immigration of the Anglo-Saxons into the region to the establishment of their first kingdoms, extending into the invasion and rule of the Vikings, it wasn't until the Anglo-Saxons began to seize territory from the Danelaw that an inkling of modern-day England could be seen. After a series of conquering, being conquered, reconquering, and so on, the Anglo-Saxons eventually united the existing kingdoms throughout England. From there, it was merely a matter of establishing solid borders, maintaining their captured territory in order to keep their kingdom physically solid, and eventually under the rule of Edgar the Peaceful, building the foundational laws and structures of what we know now as the Kingdom or Nation of England.
Here you go. Nice. Well, there you have it, guys. England, so much cool history and stuff. Like, I'm sure, like, you guys, like, taking history and, like, high schoolers, those of you from there, had to be pretty exciting. Like, a lot of stuff to dive into. Probably a lot of cool movies you guys probably watched, So, definitely exciting. Definitely, I thought, I don't know, for some reason, I was thinking, like, Great Britain, and they would, go into more, I guess, detail on everything, here. But, obviously England, this is England, right? So it's not, Great Britain. It's not, Wales. It's not like North Ireland. It's not Scotland and all that stuff. So very cool and exciting. It brought up some awesome memories of previous series that I've done. And definitely like the Anglo-Saxon thing with, me doing the ancestor DNA test kind of thing. Definitely was cool to kind of see all that kind of take place, the whole like transitioning of everything, very, very quickly compared to a series, like, a long series that I've done to where you kind of slowly see it change. It was kind of cool to see sped up process on it. But anyways, guys, please hit that like and subscribe button below. Hopefully you guys can go check out those other series I've done, on your land, on your area here, on your country and whatnot. But anyways, guys, hit the like and subscribe. Catch you guys in future videos. You guys are amazing. Peace. Catch you guys. I'm out of here.